All right, all you toxic men and their ladies out there, welcome to the third Toxic Man podcast. This is John. This evening, I'm actually here with my cousin, JP. He is a bourbon aficionado. That's what he says. I don't know. We'll find out tonight if he really knows what he's talking about. I know that the dude drank a lot in law school. I know that much. Yeah, JP, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. What's good, my fellow toxic members of the human race? So the funny thing about, I'm a self-dubbed bourbon aficionado, but I do have some credentials in that regard. A buddy of mine saw my collection the other day in my apartment, and he said that he was like, "Wow, I didn't know you were into bourbon like this." And he was like, "You must be an expert." And I was like, "Well, what makes me an expert?" He was like, "Well, how many Facebook groups are you in?" And I was we pulled it up, and I was embarrassed to see that I was in like 10 different Facebook groups. And he was like, "If you're in 10 Facebook groups, you're certainly an expert."
You obsess much over the bourbon.
I obsess about everything that I care about, and that's just my personality.
Well, I remember I went over to your apartment, and I noticed the Dos Equis man was the cutout was standing there.
If there is anything that is there anything more toxic than the Dos Equis man? Maybe other than bourbon.
That's fair, and it's very accurate.
It's true.
It's true. When you look at the stuff that he did in these commercials, it's toxicity at its finest.
I have a good picture of it. You can maybe post it. It's in my apartment, which overlooks the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. It's that's a good story actually.
Yeah, go ahead.
So in college, my roommate did real estate in Miami. Well, that's what he would do when he would go home for the summers. And he went into an empty house, and there was this cardboard cutout of the Dos Equis man, and it stayed with us from my freshman year all the way through. I took it to law school. I'll never get rid of it, and it's now in the window overlooking my my bourbon collection. And but long story short, there was Disney on Ice at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena, and apparently learned this from some fellow law enforcement officers in my family, that some concerned parents had called that there was a creepy man holding a beverage, staring incessantly into the distance at their children. And so apparently, a young police officer started shining his taser on the cardboard cutout, thinking it was a human. And they're like, "That bastard is got balls. He won't even move. He's just staring at these kids." And come to find out, somebody finally realized that it was just a cutout.
Yeah. So to set it, you have JP's apartment. He's got a corner apartment right there on this big intersection. We have an arena in town, and it's literally 5 or 6 lanes. With the median, it's not very wide, distance wise, and you could see it because I've seen that before. When I've been sitting in the light, I look up in the corner and I was like, there's JP's apartment with the Dos Equis perv staring out at all the people.
And so that's a good. I'd consider it a landmark, but
Oh, absolutely. No, you have to keep that
landmark.
The stuff you get in college, like you'll get these little things like the Dos Equis man. The stories, some of the, artifacts you could say you end up getting in college are just as good as the stories.
Yeah,
because they carry a story and it means something.
Sure. I've won a beer pong tournament at a Christmas party at a bar that I bounced at, and I still have the trophy. And it's literally this thing they handmade. It's a piece of wood with a red Solo cup glued together, and in Sharpie, someone wrote 2012 beer pong champion. Well, I'll never get rid of that.
It means something.
Of course it meant something.
That's awesome. That's better than what you can get from just like a regular cheap trophy. Like if they went and bought you one from Coward Arts or whatever. Yeah. Like, no, that's because it's unique.
I keep my pins in my office in it. Dead serious.
Do you?
Yeah, it's on my desk at work.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big flex.
But here's the question: is it as good as a Dundee?
Oh no, definitely not a Dundee.
Nah, you can't beat Dundies. Dundies are hard to beat.
If there was any award, for me it'd be like a Green Jacket, Medal of Honor, a Dundee.
Oh, green. Okay, so Green Jacket. So JP was actually a golf captain at his college when he went to undergrad before he went to law school. And what'd you get, captain sophomore year?
Yeah, I was captain. I was captain sophomore, junior, and senior year. So that was really cool. I didn't expect it, but It was just I came to, I owe it all to my golf coach. I love that dude. He's a very impressive man and a very toxic man. And I just was like, man, I really want to learn how to work hard and accomplish things. And he was able to help facilitate that. And I just put in the work, and everyone saw that I was putting in the work. And I wasn't putting in the work for anybody other than me. I mean, I was just putting that work in, and that's why I got voted captain. And it was weird because we had like eight juniors and seniors above me. You know, we had a very old veteran seasoned team, but they all were because I put in the work. They're like, they're gonna listen to me if I have something to say. And so that was cool.
Well, part of being a toxic man in our brand is hard work.
Yep.
You know, being strong, putting in the time to achieve goals.
Yeah.
And while some people say golf would be considered a quote toxic sport because it's non-contact and all that, but if you saw the guy I'm sitting next to right now, what are you, 6'3", like 240?
I am 6'4", 260.
Okay, 6'4". I was off by 20 pounds and an inch. So a funny story that he told me was when he was at law school, he was working out, and I'll let you take it from here.
That was funny. So in law school, I used to work out at the old gym. I went to USC for law school. That's South Carolina. And I was lifting weights, and this guy comes up to me in a South Carolina polo, and he's like, "Hey man, are you interested in walking on the football team?" And I'm like, are you serious? I'm in law school, man. He's like, dude, you're built like a tight end. And he was like, I was like, well, I'm actually in law school. He's like, oh, so you played football in college then? And I'm like, no, I played college golf. And he almost fell over. It was pretty funny. It's flattering. I mean, my mom has a picture from my senior year of high school. Yeah. Playing with a good buddy of mine, but he was a freshman. He was a phenom. He was a freshman, so he was playing number one. I was playing number one in the high school, and I swear to God, is coming up to my hip. Like and we're competing against each other, and he's hanging with him. He was good. He was great. Yeah. And he literally, it looks like, I mean, I've got a beard, and I'm like a grown man, and this little kid, and so I've always looked a little out of place. And at Newberry, they had athletes orientation. The football coach came up to me, puts his arm on my shoulder, and he's like, "Hey son, like meeting at 3:00." I was like, I was like, I'm on the golf team, and he was like, "Well, you on the damn football scholarship?" So it was.
You didn't tell me about that.
I've always had that. I always had that look. I just look like a football player. But.
So I guess it's safe to say that you could be the first toxic golf player.
Maybe, but I would. If anyone just Googled John Daly.
Oh well,
like
point made. You're absolutely right, dude.
Drinking beer with a cig. You know that dude. If you ever seen the 30 for 30 on him, it is awesome. 30 for 30s are good anyway. Absolutely. But I mean, John Daly, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Golf is becoming more of a sport, though, man. It really is. It's if you look at the guys on the PGA Tour now, there's some jack dudes. I mean, Tiger started it with that.
Yeah, he did.
Brooks Koepka is a beast. He's sponsored by Mick Ultra, and he has a hot like a model actress wife.
Good
for
him.
Dustin Johnson, and he did an interview with Barstool Sports the other day, and they were like, so he's the quintessential toxic golfer because they were like, so what do you do in your free time? Do you love golf? Do you watch golf? Do you play golf video games? He was like, I play golf because I make millions of dollars. Dude. He was like, they were like, well, what do you do in your free time? He's like, in the off season, I don't touch a club for 6 weeks. And they're like, well, what do you do? He's like, I go on my boat with my hot girlfriend and her hot friends, and we drink. I was like, God, you're my hero.
And that's Brooks Koepka?
That's Brooks Koepka. Yeah, he's the man. So, he's winning everything, too. So, it's kind of fun watching I'm all for the bros. Like, he's a bro, and he's winning stuff, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can see that, yeah.
It's pretty cool. He's more of my idol now than any other golfer, for sure.
Yeah.
So...
You gotta enjoy the bro. I mean, that's kind of part of it. I mean, I think you go through phases of life, and I think college years and early career years, that's your bro years, because generally you're single.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and then you gotta hang out with your boy. You gotta get that out of your system.
Absolutely.
Because I think we've talked about this before, is you can't live that life forever.
No, and you don't want to. It's not sustainable.
No, it's not. It's not. You'll end up
You'll end up
road
being
poor with a kid you didn't intend to have, or something you can't wash off with Ajax.
And you'll be that guy that you don't want to be, that you see at the bars, that you're like, oh man, come on, dude.
Yeah, I've been to them, and you see them, and they're like in their 50s, and they're wearing affliction shirts and studded blue jeans, and it's like, God, that guy's a loser. I got to get married.
Yeah.
I got to settle down.
No doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's funny you say that, because I kind of we've both kind of seen each other grow through those stages.
Yeah,
and, there's a little bit of an age gap between us, but we've always been able to.
Well, 9 years. You got 9 years, but then you have my younger brother, who's much like your younger brother, a lot away, and like emotions and just who they are as people. They're very similar, and then we are very much the same way. It's actually kind of weird.
Yeah, you introduced me as your cousin, and that is technically true, but I've always felt like you've been my older brother. So
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's like I got younger brothers other than just that one.
Because I never really had. I'm the oldest in my family, and I never really had a guy to beat up on me. I always beat up on my little brother, even though he's a tank too. But
Jordan's stout.
But Johnny was you filled that role and beat me down whenever I needed to.
Then there's the times when I would manipulate you to get mad at Jordan, and then y'all start fighting each other, and then your dad would get mad, and I'd just leave.
The mastermind. Yeah, we actually used to, and it's funny how these things stick with you, and they mold you into who you are. I mean, I can remember we would just move all the furniture out of your place, and we would just have 5 rounds of 5 minutes MMA.
Oh yeah,
Dana White needed to see that shit. I mean, it was out of control. We were going at it.
So yeah, we went and got some MMA gloves. This was back when UFC. It's back in what 2000.
This was the Forrest Griffin 2008 era. The Forrest Griffin, Chuck Liddell era.
Chuck Liddell, Ortiz,
all those guys.
To me, that's the golden age.
That was.
Now I watch it, it's kind of like, nah.
Yeah.
But then it was just, there's just something different
those guys
about it.
And I love Conor McGregor, and I love MMA now.
Yeah,
I love where it's at. I think it's in a good spot. But those guys weren't in it to become billionaires.
Right.
They were in it they were the baddest men in the world.
Right.
And they were fighting each other, and they were making a good living, whatever. But like, I mean, that's hilarious. I watched the Forrest Griffin fight. The fight that I can't remember, but it was the end of the Ultimate Fighter season. It might have been the first season.
He won the first season champion.
Yeah, he won it, and those dudes are brawling, and it was funny because they marketed it as you win a 6-figure contract. So like they were paying them like $100,000, and like you have to fight. Dana White's like, you got to fight as much. I mean, they don't really get. They don't, unless you're Conor McGregor, you're not making.
No, now I mean you'll make good money. Even if you lose, you make some money.
Yeah.
But not if you win.
Yeah.
But now they're making it's crazy how much they make just to get their face punched a little bit.
It's crazy. I mean, I went to the UFC stuff at the fight night in Greenville. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was sick. Yeah, it was the Korean Zombie was the headlining fight.
Actually,
he knocked him out.
Did you meet a guy at the gym?
I absolutely did. I'm gonna have to pull up his Instagram. I'll give him a shout out. I might even tag him in this. He's a really nice guy. I can't remember his name. It's Aguilar. It's Christian Aguilar. Yeah, Kevin Aguilar.
Okay.
I met him at Gold's Gym. So I walked into I work out at the Gold's Gym here in town, and I see this dude decked out in Reebok gear, and UFC is they're sponsored by. It used to be whoever, because John Jones used to be a Nike guy, but now they have to do Reebok, which I kind of think's whack because they get ripped off. Like the most they make in a fight is like. They make like pennies.
Yeah, I think you have UFC as a whole, but those are individual fighters. Right. They should be able to get their own sponsors.
I completely agree. I think
this isn't like baseball
doing that because Reebok's paying him. But
he's getting a big chunk.
So I see this dude decked out in Reebok gear and sauna gear, and he's sweating, and I know I'm already thinking about UFC because it's I know I'm going on Saturday night. This was either Thursday or Friday. It was Thursday night before the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And I just go up to him and I'm like, hey, bro, are you a UFC fighter? And he's like, yeah, I'm fighting. And so we followed each other on Instagram, and I sent him a message like, good luck and stuff. He was the main fight of the preliminary fights.
Okay, so he was the
main card of the prelims.
Yeah.
And, dude, him and this guy brawled. He ended up losing, but I'm talking like it was a brawl. And I hated to see that he lost and was in such a brawl because he was going to come out with me and my boys after. I told him because we had a box. I was like, come to the box and get wasted with us after. And he, I don't think he might have. I wouldn't want to be drinking after
you
a
get
fight like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
So
it's not like he's not like he won it within a minute to get a submission or knockout.
Right. That was what I was kind of hoping for. But it was really cool to see him and pick his brain. He talked about it. He played football in high school.
Okay.
And he loved to compete. And he said that he wasn't big enough to play college football. And he had wrestled too, and he didn't want to do college wrestling. He felt like he wanted to do something more dynamic, and it was right during the MMA boom.
Mm-hmm.
And he got into it, and I mean, shit, he's a professional fighter. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about one of the most toxic masculinity sports.
The biggest golfer in South Carolina right here. You know, not really, but a huge golfer, and I'll tell you right now, there's nothing.
Purely.
There isn't a purer sport than fighting.
No. I mean, wrestling. I say wrestling is right underneath the UFC as far as the pureness because it's pitted. It's mano y mano. You're in this cage.
Yep.
There's no backing down at that point. You can't.
I know.
And it's you fight to win. You fight to survive.
Yeah, and it's just you're not relying on any teammates. You're not relying on any coaches.
No.
It all happens. The preparation, sure. But when you're in the ring and you're fighting, there isn't a purer sport than that.
No, and unless your head's against the fence and your coach is right there telling you, trying to help you, you can't hear it. You're so zoned and you're so focused on this one guy, you can't hear anything else because you're worried about if he takes this arm, he can do this. But if I go for this leg, maybe I can get that. Right. But then if I do that, then he's going to get this.
Right.
It's a really good sport for men. I mean, just in general, and it teaches. That's one that teaches you about hard work and survival, discipline. Yeah, and getting respect.
Look, I think that the majority of the people listening to this podcast they know what it's like to get punched in the face.
Probably.
I think it's, and if you haven't ever been punched in the face, I'm not saying go get punched in the face, but it's a good learning experience when you get your jaw rocked. I mean, it is.
Yeah,
it is. It is what it is. I mean, it's something that our culture, I'm not saying fighting is like the outside of sport, is it? But whatever. But it happens.
But the truth is, we live in a dangerous society. So to be a free society, there's a lot of danger in being in a free society, right? So our founding fathers, I think, realized that. So you got to understand, there may be a time when, like, you're not married right now, but you have a girlfriend. There may be a time when you need to defend her.
Yeah.
And it may require you to take a punch to the face, but can you survive that punch to the face? Yeah. Can you take that, absorb it, and still fight through that pain and focus through and use, the masculinity you have in you and the testosterone inside you to amp up and beat that dude's ass?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
I mean, there's just nothing. There's no argument. There's no way anyone's going to ever convince me that that's wrong.
No, you can't, because there's nothing wrong with aggression. What's wrong with aggression is when people can't control it.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you can control it, that is what matters.
It's a tool.
Yeah,
that's the way I look at it. I mean, and also, I try to keep it in check, and I keep it in check with hitting the gym. I mean, every day, not every day, but I try to at least 5 days a week get in the gym, zone out, listen to some metal, and throw up some weight. And it's more of a mental health thing than a physical health thing for
me. Very true.
I mean, otherwise, I'll be all kinds of pent up. I'll be ready to go.
And then you won't be in control of your aggression.
Exactly. And otherwise, if I can, really though, working out and training in MMA, which I don't do as much as I used to, those kind of things, that really, really keeps my mind so clear and so focused on what I want to do and what I need to do and what and whatever professional and outside endeavors that I have. It's one of those things where it's a tool.
No, it really is. It's absolutely a tool.
Being toxic is a tool. Listen, hear that, guys. Be a tool. Be a toxic tool and use it as a tool. You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's been coined. JP coined it.
You heard it here first.
Toxicity is a tool, which is true.
That's the environment we grew up in, and I'm so thankful for it. Between our law enforcement family and our grandfather, D, we have a grandfather that we called D, and he bought me and my little brother boxing gloves, and this is one of my favorite stories to tell. My parents would get so pissed off that we would just me and my little brother would tear the house down fighting each other. And so then we got to where we would wait till my parents would go get groceries, and we used to always want to go because we're like, get out of the house. You're like,
Yeah.
this was granted. I was in 7th grade. My little brother was in 5th grade. It was in the summer. We can't drive anywhere, whatever. When my mom went to Walmart, it was go time. We would get out in the yard and we would just beat the piss out of each other. But so my parents realized like we'd always have black eyes and bloody noses. They found one of the gloves. I can't remember if it was my set or Jordan's, and they threw them away. But one of them we still had. So we fought. He would use his right hand and I would just have the left hand. We would still fight. And now I got a mean left hand, dude. Like, and I just had to learn it.
You had to learn how to do it.
I can't let my little brother beat me up and he's throwing haymakers with the right hand. So I'm stiff jabbing him with the left. And it's funny now. I might be punching wise left hand dominant.
Probably, yeah. If you did it that much,
I mean, it was 2 years of just sparring with your little brother with just my left hand.
And it's so stupid. Like, you talked about how that just helped you grow up and become man and learn how to focus your any aggression you had, anything like that. Now you have this faction out here that's trying to change American culture and society and tell men that they're the problem.
Right.
But they're the problem. Those leftists are the problem.
I completely agree.
So, can you see a productive beta male?
I'm never one to rule out something as in totality, and I know where you're going.
Yeah.
So sure, there are going to be productive. But guess what?
Protective, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
I bet you, though, even if they've got the stigma of a beta male or whatever, they've done something hard in their life. They've worked hard. They've done something to get, if they're successful, or if they're protecting, or if they're doing something. They're just taking what we are calling it what it is, aggression, emotion, raw emotion, testosterone, and they're just packaging it up into some little pussy box. But it's whatever. They just don't want to call it what it is. But I would say no though is the answer to your question, because without those traits, I don't see how you can really. You're just going to spin your tires. I mean,
without being able to,
you're going to be parading in a parade, throwing dildos around. I don't know what they do. Twerking. Have you seen that? Have you seen that thing with the guy twerking?
In DC?
Oh my
that climate change thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. They were trying to quote save the earth from quote unquote climate change, yet they're stalling a bunch of cars to idle in the middle of the interstate.
A bunch of carbon emission.
Yeah. Good job. Well, you just saved the world.
Congrats, you just played yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now you can get ridiculed mercilessly, and deserve every bit of it. So yeah, I guess beta males are. They're not good. I can't say they're not good protectors. Maybe one will step up and realize.
No, protectors, no.
Yeah, honestly, I guess that's more what I was looking for.
Down every time.
Like protectors, no, I can't see that. I wouldn't trust one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I just don't think. I mean, because they're not going to use their hands to fight if they need to. Yeah. They're going to be less prone to carry a weapon. Yeah. Legally, of course. A gun, a firearm, but and even if they carried one, would they use it? Because I think there's a mentality that you have to have. Are you willing to pull the trigger?
Right.
In a situation where you're going to be justified legally to do that, are you willing to? If you're not willing to, why are you even carrying one?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're actually dangerous to everybody else because they're going to take that gun from you, pistol whip you, and shoot you and your whoever with it.
And whoever else. And then if you don't go to the range and spend time to be familiar with it, then you're going to be unconfident. Yeah. And when you go to use it. And you're going to misfire.
Range, man. If you want to be effective in a serious situation, if you want to be effective, you've got to know what you're doing.
Because you could be at the mall. Yeah. You could be at the mall. You could be at Walmart. You could be anywhere. You could be in your church. And if you aren't aware of your surroundings, and are beta males aware of their surroundings? Normally not.
Right.
I don't see, because guys who are protectors are going to be more vigilant of what's going on around them.
My girlfriend bitches at me about this all the time. She's like, why are you watching that guy? What are you looking at? Why and now we've had a couple situations where it's been, kind of dicey, or I've been right. It's like, this guy's sketchy. He's going to come and do something sketchy a little bit. And it turns out to be right. And she's like, it's just being, like having a keen awareness. It's not paranoia. It's just being aware. And like, that's something that my dad's always been really good at. And I've been the same voice that my girlfriend's been to me, being like, Dad, you're being crazy. And I've had to apologize. even to the point where like he could call out my friends in like middle school, being like, "Those are bad dudes.
Yep.
They're gonna be bad people.
Yep.
And they're in jail now." And it's like he's like he didn't want me to go down that road. Just like it's weird. It's weird how the toxic men have that almost a third eye.
Yeah, absolutely. They have
awareness. It's awareness.
It's an intuition.
Yeah, it's intuition.
And it's not like it's not being ignorant to the fact that evil is out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to protect your family and those around you, even strangers, that can't protect themselves, you have to be aware. And I think there's an innate instinct that we have to have.
Yeah.
And I think that's more towards the alpha males and more as a toxic man than it is beta males. Just don't have that because alpha men are going to be vigilant, ready to fight if needed, ready to protect if needed. Beta males are more apt to run and hide.
And it's something you can develop. It's not like you have to be born this way. If there's any beta male listeners that want to become a real man, do it.
Please come in here and be a real man.
It can happen. Here's a funny thing that my dad used to do when we would shoot, and we had like a little makeshift shooting range in the backyard. I'd be hitting my target, and I'm like, I'm a natural. My dad would be like, do 30 push-ups, load and rack your weapon, and see how quick you can put those rounds down range accurately.
Totally different.
Man, that makes a difference. And imagine if you think your heart rate isn't going to be beaten when you're in a situation like that, then you're crazy.
Oh, the adrenaline dump.
Learning how to manage that heart rate and learning how to work through a situation like that, which is actually what golf has taught me. All about breathing, all about managing your heart rate, all about managing your what you're doing, slowing things down under pressure. Those are things that actually translate into that fight or flight situation. And that's from golf, really seriously from golf.
Have you ever heard of the books called On Killing and On Combat?
I actually have not.
Okay, so those are written by Lieutenant Dave Grossman. He was about Dave Grossman?
I've listened to him on a couple podcasts.
That dude, so On Killing is kind of dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of statistics. But if you read On Combat, it talks a lot about stress inoculation and getting yourself prepared to fight. But he also talks in there about combat breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You know about his background a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit, but go ahead.
For the people listening, he was a Vietnam vet. He came back from Vietnam, and he decided he wanted to get his degree in psychology and kind of study because he had the effects from war and whatever he had to do over there. So you have a guy who was a veteran who can put his money where his mouth is, and he's also learned about the psychology part of killing and the human brain and how it reacts. But he talks about combat stress breathing, which is actually really good, and he's taught it, and it actually lowers your heart rate if you do it correctly.
Oh, yeah.
So it's something, if you need to learn that, I would highly suggest going online, checking them out, and then learning the combat breathing, because if you're out here and you're with your family and you have your firearm with you and something goes wrong and you need to step into action, knowing combat breathing and making that second nature, so you just start immediately going into combat breathing while you're trying to take down this target, is highly necessary.
So I would imagine this is the same thing that my golf coach taught me, and this is the first time I ever learned about this. Was we called it diaphragmatic breathing.
Okay.
And so it's essentially, if you want to lower your heart rate, you push your diaphragm out as you breathe instead of breathing into your chest. Because when you get nervous, you breathe into your chest, short breaths, and that makes your heart rate increase. When you're adrenaline spiking, that's what you want to do. But if you can push that air deep into your diaphragm, it almost makes your belly pop out. That's what it looks like.
Push out.
And you slowly come in with it. And there's other techniques to that. I mean, this is crazy to think. Probably most people would know this, but like, I would practice this on an elliptical that had the heart rate monitor.
Yeah. And
I would practice getting my heart rate down at steady state cardio for golf. I mean, that's how, if you care about your sport, you do shit like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That translates, and now I can remember taking the bar exam. What am I doing all morning? I woke up that morning, I was pushing my diaphragm all day because I was nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm just pushing in, pushing out. Whenever I've got to get in front of a judge, I'm diaphragmatic breathing.
Yep.
You speak so much clearer. You think clear. You think you can break things down.
Yep.
You're not just...
you're not panicking.
Freaking.
Your heart's slowing down. Your whole body's slowing down. So your thought process.
Staying calm under pressure is a toxic trait. I mean,
it
is. It's a skill. It's valuable to any.
You have to learn it. And in the combat stress,
any combat, any sport.
Yeah, the stress breathing is really 3 seconds in, hold 3 seconds, 3 seconds out, wait 3 seconds. and you do about 4 cycles of
You
that,
can feel it.
and you'll feel yourself just kind of like come back to earth.
When I'm struggling to sleep, that's what I do.
Really?
Yeah, this is another thing. Shout out to my golf coach. Count your blessings and breathe before you go to bed.
Yeah.
Tell me you won't go to bed relaxed.
Yeah, that's true.
It is what and that's another thing he used to preach. A lot of this stuff. I'm telling you, my golf coach was a great dude. You can control every thought that enters your head. You control every thought that comes through your head.
Yep.
And at worst case, some people are going to disagree with you. Until you start practicing it, but you at least control what you do with that thought in your head.
Yeah, and you
choose to be mad. You choose to be happy.
Exactly,
you choose
dude. You are
it's
exactly right. Yeah, how you feel about the world, how you feel about your job, your boss, it's a choice. It's a choice. And all that, when adversity hits you, adversity doesn't matter as much as how do you respond to adversity. And that's something I teach the football players that I coach.
That's exactly right.
Is we were down. In fact, our first game this year, we were down at the half from 20-6, and I coached the defense, specifically. And I told them, I said, we're down right now. They've scored 20 points on us. The offense will do their thing, but we have to do ours. How you respond to the adversity of being down right now matters a lot, and whether you're going to win this game or not.
Absolutely.
And
it matters on whether you're going to win games in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
Are you the kind of person that's going to buckle down? You don't care if it's 52-2. You're buckling down and you're giving every bit of output is going to every drive, every play, every snap.
Absolutely. And what about?
Are you that person, or are you the person that just rolls over and dies?
Exactly. And your body language says a lot too.
Absolutely.
So say you're down 21-0 in the first quarter.
Yep.
Are you trotting off the field, or are you hanging your head when you trot off the freaking field?
Absolutely.
Because the team's going to see that.
Absolutely.
And if they see you with your head down, they're going to put their foot in your throat even more.
Absolutely. I asked. So when I was playing high school golf here in Greenville, Lucas Glover, U.S. Open champion.
Yeah.
He's a pretty famous golfer. He's done really well. He's made a lot of money playing professional golf. And his high school golf coach was still coaching the high school that he played for, Wade Hampton. And I asked him, I said, what was the difference between Lucas Glover and someone like me or your number one player or whatever, guys that are going to play at small schools and not phenoms. He's like, what was the difference? And I was expecting him to be like, he never missed a shot. He never missed a putt. And he was like, JP, he hits it exactly like you do. He was like, but when he walked off the course, I couldn't tell if he was shooting 8 over par or 8 under par. He had the exact same attitude.
That's exactly right.
The exact same wherewithal throughout the round, the exact same of assertiveness, whether he was in dead last or in first place. And I was like, damn.
And that's the thing
crazy.
That sports can translate to life
sports are so
well. Like that's
so valuable.
And that's the sad thing. If you start seeing sports go downhill as far as attendance, you're going to see, and that's in any sport. I mean, because in any sport you're going to face adversity. Life lessons can come out of sports so many times, so much,
and
it's you carry it over, and these coaches don't realize they're molding these kids to be men in the future.
How crazy is this? I've mentioned my coach 5 times today.
Oh yeah,
and it's like you're right. I mean, it's just
Well, you know what? You know where the coach title came from?
I don't actually.
Back in the day, of course, you had the coaches. You rode a coach from place to place, but that coach took you to place to place.
Right.
So players started tagging their coaches as coaches because the player would come be at a certain level playing their sport. By the end of the season, they were at a different level because their coach took them to that place.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So that's how that came.
Well, that's a good name for a good coach. Then I mean that's what they should do. They should elevate you in your sport and as a man.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I teach the kids and the head coach is all about this too. We're in agreement on it, and that's we're going to take our players to the next level to get ready for the next level they're going to play at. But that's not just a sport,
right?
But as men, and they're boys at one point. But maybe you'll say one thing. You just say one thing that will catch on and they'll remember.
Right.
That's all you can hope for, and be a positive influence on them.
Right.
It's cool when I'm out in public now and I'm walking across a parking lot and I hear, "Hey, coach!" Yeah. And I'm like. I look, I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? And go talk to him for a little bit. It's really a good feeling.
Coaching is badass. That's really cool.
And especially like when we were down in that first game I was talking about, we're down 20-6 at the half. We gave the talks, said keep your foot on their throat. Offense will do their job. They did their job. We ended up winning 26-22. And that's going to be the hardest team I think we play all season.
That's awesome.
But for them,
That's
and I kept
awesome.
yelling at them when they're coming off the field, get your head up.
That's a win for y'all.
Get your head
up.
up.
To fight back like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not a win.
And it was a 5A school.
I'm not a participation trophy guy.
No.
But it's a win in the win column of character building.
Yeah, and that's ultimately the goal. Because there's only a small percentage of kids that will ever play college football in the whole grand scheme of football.
Course, yeah.
And I'm only using that because, and the same with golf, there's only a small percentage that's going to play collegiate golf. What matters is, did you give them a little bit of something that can build their character and give them some integrity and learn what honor is as an adult and as a man later on when they're not playing that sport and when they have a job, when they have a family.
Right.
That stuff matters. More so, they'll remember the games, but will they remember the lessons that we try to plug in there too?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad that that's happening, because hopefully that'll breed some non-beta male a little bit better of a. I'm not looking at my Game Boy generation that we're dealing with now.
Yeah, so they're finger banging their PlayStation controllers.
I'm so glad that I was on the cusp of that. I missed that generation. I didn't have a cell phone until like 8th, 9th grade. And I didn't have a smartphone until college. And I'm just glad that my childhood was spent outside.
And that's the way it should be. We're not made. Dude, we're not made to be inside all the time.
And I love video games. I'm not knocking it. I've got the new Call of Duty. But, like, I'll be damned if I'm spending a beautiful Saturday afternoon inside playing Call of Duty and not drinking beers outside with my boys. I mean,
with the bros.
Come on. So it is what it is, But if it's a cold, rainy Tuesday night, then Call of Duty it is.
It has its time and its place.
Sure.
Like eating. Like junk food has its time and its place. Absolutely. It's in moderation.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, speaking of non-toxic things, I know you had talked about, and we had maybe seen a video earlier that we were gonna talk about.
Yeah, so this is gonna be our feminist freakout section. All right, so we got this video here.
What a gem and a jewel she is.
Yeah, I'm telling you, when you look at her, you wouldn't be more proud of her if you were a dad. Oh, that's rough. So the name of this is Ways Patriarchy Damages Men's Emotional Literacy.
Okay.
All right. So if you're a patriarchal man, then you have no emotional literacy, or at least it's damaged. But here's this chick. I'm sure she would love me calling her a chick with her purple hair and which hat she's wearing.
Well, I don't know, man. You're assuming a gender now.
I might be.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah, who's she?
Okay.
Who's she to
so before you play the video, I saw a hilarious joke the other day. It was a shirt that was on Amazon, and it said, don't assume my gender, something, something, something. And then it was a still frame picture, and as you go to buy it, it says select gender, male or female. It's so funny. It was like, I mean, come on. Let's just use our heads here.
Because they have no...
Oh, it's so frustrating.
It's just hypocrisy, man. It drives me crazy.
It's crazy.
It drives me crazy sometimes. It shouldn't. But the same, you can't do anything but laugh about it because they are who they are. Yeah. They're going to be as crazy as they are. Yeah. You can just laugh about it, ridicule them because they're doing the same to you. But they don't want that done to them.
No, of course not. That's wrong.
No, absolutely.
That's wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. So we're going to play this and we're going to see what she has to say. But there's one spot right here about the minute 30 mark that we're going to really talk about. We want to break down.
Series I'm doing for Everyday Feminism. Everyday Feminism is a website dedicated to helping you stand up to and break down everyday oppression. And in this video, I want to talk about the ways that patriarchy damages men's emotional literacy.
The patriarchy! That's so terrible. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
So, let's talk about the male gaze first. Women internalize the male gaze insofar as we're conditioned to look at our bodies as objects to be gazed upon and to be decorated. So when...
hold on. Are you supposed to use the word in a definition of the word that you're defining?
I'm just going to go ahead and say no.
Yeah, you went to law school. I think you know. Yeah. I think you know. Okay, I just want to break that down.
Yeah, she used... Yeah,
she used gaze and gaze
within the word gaze.
Within the gaze, yeah.
At first I thought she said gaze.
I think
it is what it is. I was a little confused. The male gaze. I was like,
yeah, but
leave those guys alone.
They didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
We look at ourselves, a lot of us have internalized this idea of what femininity is, and we self-police accordingly. When we look at ourselves, it's like a voice in the back of our head that is judging us, and this is the male gaze. This is something that is society-wide that we're...
That sounds like a personal problem. Anyway, I had to interject that. If you've got a voice in the back of your head, you might need to see a doctor.
You might go see a doctor about that voice.
I don't think that it has anything to do with the patriarchy. I think it just has something to do with you needing medicine.
Yeah. No male gazing needed there.
Fair enough.
All right, going back.
All taught. And men, I think, also internalize this gaze, although slightly differently. Men internalize it in that they are required to look and act in a manner that they believe other men would approve. And this really ultimately negatively affects the development of certain human capacities like emotion in men. And so in patriarchal society, men hold a more powerful position relative to women and non-binary people in the hierarchy of gender. So although men might be evaluated by women seeking sexual partners, the standards against which their masculinity is measured are really held in place by other men. Men are prisoners of masculinity insofar as they internalize these cultural definitions of manhood. So some of these definitions would...
Prisoners.
I love that.
We're prisoners.
Men are prisoners of their own masculinity.
So how do you break out of that jail? You're a prisoner of your own manliness. So how do you break out of that jail?
By being more masculine, baby.
Maybe she can tell us.
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Let's hear.
That masculinity requires men to build this invisible wall of toughness around them. They're not allowed to show vulnerability. This is something that men are often taught as very young children, to man up and don't cry, be a man.
You should not cry too much.
You should be a man.
You should be a man. Okay, that's one thing that does gripe me, because there are times, okay, for instance, my wife and I watched Amazon. It was called Hornet's Nest.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Amazon Prime. Freaking awesome. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Okay, at the height of the Afghan war, these two guys, father and son, video journalists, embed into a unit over with the army over in Afghanistan, and there's a really like 8-9 hour intense firefight where 3 soldiers were killed in it. And I paused it and I asked her, I said, do you think that a woman would do well in this? Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, absolutely not. Right. She said, there's no way a woman could handle that emotionally. She would break down more than likely, lose control. That's a point, like, that's a gift that we have. I think it's a gift not to break down.
It's just in our genetic makeup.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's fine.
Yeah,
and it's fine to be emotional sometimes.
Sure.
Like I said, I blanket generalizations are generally bad. But,
right.
Geez,
I'm not saying there's not a time when you could be, if something happens to your child, to your wife, to a loved one.
Sack up,
yes,
man. Like,
but at
don't cry because your gluten-free pretzels are out of stock at Harris Teeter.
Right, or your man bun's not long enough anymore. Not long enough to be a man bun yet, I guess. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It just there's times for you to be emotional, but there's times when people need to hold it together and be stoic and be unemotional.
Absolutely, because
it's a fact of life.
Well, I mean, with law, I don't practice law emotionally. So, a lot of times I'll be representing my client and sometimes I feel like the other side has a point, or the other side, emotionally, I feel like the other side might have something. However, I've got to look at the law objectively and emotionless. Right. And I've got to do my damn job. And that's what being a man is. That's what that means. Be a man, do your job. Yep. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what our society was built on. That's what successful men are built on. Yep. And if the left doesn't like that, then sorry.
Well, that's the thing, is the left wants to destroy America for what we are and what our traditions is.
I mean, that's sad.
Let's see what else. Let's see what else.
And these are things that we are constantly told growing up, and so they sort of become incorporated into ourselves. And that's what I mean when I say that we internalize the male gaze. We internalize them so deeply that we cannot tell whether we're evaluating ourselves or we're being evaluated by this gaze. And men also might have inner conflicts about masculinity and the norms of appearance.
Kind of the boot.
But they're very often compelled to hide this kind of confusion by acting more confident than they even really feel.
All right, I'm not sure I can take much more of this.
That's all I want.
I can't take any more.
I can't look at it.
No, I can't either. That pink and purple hair, this witch hat thing,
terrible.
whatever that is. Anyway, that's terrible. Yeah, sorry to subject you to that noise, but we had to see it, so I guarantee you it was worse on us.
Yeah, you're lucky. We spared you.
All right, so anyway, we just wanted to bring that's the feminist freak out of the week. That chick's off the chain.
And that was
she's
a good freak out.
Freaking out about a gaze. I don't know. She can't even define gaze properly
without saying gaze.
Yeah, gaze. All right, so we have right here. This was actually back in August. This is from BearingArms.com. The headline is, and this is going to be the Toxic Man Award. All right, so there was the headline is 14-year-old uses handgun to defend sisters from intruders. On Sunday, 2 men in a white sedan pulled up to a home in Blaine. This was in, doesn't say exactly where it was. Anyway, one got out of the car and repeatedly tried to gain entry by kicking in the doors. Inside the home were 3 teenage girls who responded by calling 911. They were at home alone at the time with their father at work and their mother at the store. At one point, the man was trying to break in, circled around the backyard and prepared to bust open a window with a shovel. When that was about to happen, the man and his driver began arguing. During that argument, the youngest of the teen girls at home, only 14, found a loaded 9mm pistol. Let's see. She fired in the general direction, scaring the guys off. So I know it's girls, and this is the Toxic Man Award, but I gotta give it to her.
You gotta give it to her. I mean, and it's the toxic man. The traits that we're speaking of aren't. This may sound very millennial of me, but it's genderless.
Oh, good lord! What have I brought in here? No, I'm just playing.
But you got to give it to her. That's fantastic.
That's true. That's true. We got to give it to her. I mean, because you're 14 years old, you're still a child.
We're not sexist here.
No, absolutely not.
For the record.
Yeah, for the record, all you libs out there that think so.
First.
Yeah, we are not sexist. But I mean, she got brave.
Yeah.
She said, I can't let this happen. I'm going to get a gun. I'm going to fire. At least she fired in the direction.
And she was protecting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Protection. I mean, that's badass.
No, it really is.
And what was the age again? She was 13?
14 years old.
I mean, damn. How many 14-year-old boys do you know that'd be able to do that?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's very impressive. So she gets the Toxic Man Award. I proudly give that to her. She definitely deserves it.
We're going to send her a sticker.
She needs one. I'm sure Dad is proud of her.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, seriously, I would be proud of my daughters.
I bet her dad is a toxic man.
Yeah, that's.
You know what? You heard it here first. It's a guarantee.
That is a guarantee.
It's a guarantee. She didn't have that in her without a strong male figure.
Dude, you're exactly right.
She didn't have.
You're exactly right.
Or a strong mother, but she had a strong figure putting that in
her life. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. To sack up and do that? Yeah, you're absolutely right.
She was not raised by someone who's twerking for climate change. That's a fact.
Those type of people don't want to have kids to save the planet. I say, yes, save America.
Fine,
don't have kids.
Please don't have kids. Please don't ever procreate. I don't want your DNA in anything.
No, go away.
Let it die here.
So here we go. This is the last one. This is kind of a random one we came across. This is pretty good. This is from Breitbart. The headline is Florida teen allegedly attacks grandpa after being denied more tomatoes at dinner.
This must have been some good tomatoes.
There must have been some excellent tomatoes. I'm trying to wonder what kind of 19-year-old is that mad about vegetables that they're going to attack a grandfather.
I'll tell you, one that's on meth. And I'll tell you why. Because they're in Florida. And I'm reading an excerpt right here that says, as he ran, which would have been the grandfather, the man said the teenager threatened him by saying, "Mother effer, I'll stab you in your effing face." That is
for tomatoes.
That's meth, bro.
That's meth. Or Flocka. Is Flocka still a thing?
I don't think so.
Okay, Flocka's not a thing anymore.
That's the LE in you.
So yeah, I don't know, but you hear about people taking Flocka and eating people's faces off.
Too. That was
Florida. Yeah, Miami. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I got into some good Flocka one time, but it was. I'm just kidding.
That was a heck of a golf game, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was bombing it.
But yeah, that was he was 73 years old, and she was 19. All over tomatoes,
and she looks crazy. Just give that a quick Google.
Yeah, on Breitbart, she's cheesing it up big time in
that's
this picture.
Yeah, there's some extracurricular activity.
Yeah,
she dabbled.
She dabbles. She definitely dabbles. She's a dabbler. Definitely dabbles. All right, so we're going to talk about why you're here. Why are you here?
So, as we discussed earlier, I meet the credentials of being a bourbon expert by the amount of Facebook groups I'm in, and I brought a couple bottles.
Well, hold on. Based on that,
sure.
Well, unless something's not on Facebook, it's not official, right? So you have 10 Facebook pages you follow, so you meet the minimum standard at least. At least the minimum of being a bourbon aficionado because it's on Facebook.
I've also drank my weight in bourbon in
the last you're 260 pounds, so.
But what I'll say about bourbon is there isn't a more toxic drink. If you liked, and just drinking doesn't make you a man or whatever, but if you want a manly drink,
yes,
then get you a neat pour of good bourbon.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you why. The reason why is that bourbon is exclusive to America. There isn't, and also, if you didn't realize this, I know that people might think that and might want to change this. America is certainly the most toxic country there is.
Amen to that.
And that's why we are where we are today, and that's why our economy is booming, and why we live in it's not a third world country. But so a lot of people ask me, and I used to think this. So a lot of people think that bourbon has to be made in Kentucky. However, they're wrong. The distinction that makes something bourbon is that it has to be made in America. It has to be so before it's put in barrels, what they call it the mash bill. So when they take all the grains and distill it, the distilled mash bill has to have 51% or more of corn, and it has to be sitting in charred oak barrels for more than 4 years. Okay. So even Jack Daniel, not Jack Daniel's because that's not bourbon, but even your lower tier bourbons, they're 51% corn, they're made somewhere in America, and they've sat in a charred oak barrel for 4 years. Okay. And so I used to not be a huge bourbon drinker. I used to be a big Busch Light and Taka vodka drinker.
That's because you were a broke.
I was falling on a budget. But now that I'm a lawyer, it was funny. I went on my first overnight trip with my boss, and we were at a restaurant, and I ordered a beer. And he was like, "Come on, man." He was like, "Order a bourbon." And I'm like, "You want me to order a Jack Daniels? I don't know."
But it burns.
I don't know what to order. And so he ordered for me, and he ordered me just your standard. It was like an $8 pour of Buffalo Trace, and ordered on
which is excellent.
I love it. I've got a bottle right here, sitting right here with us. I ordered it, and he ordered it on a big rock, and I have just been hooked since. And so. I love bourbon, and I've been collecting, and I'm not one of those collectors that I'll say this, I'll vent my frustration. I don't buy bourbon. I say I'm a collector, and I am a collector because I have a lot of really hardcore bottles.
Yeah, you really do.
But and I've done a lot of work to get them, but I drink them. And it's cool, like this bottle. So what we have here, the highlight of what I brought over here that Johnny and I tried earlier. It's the Rip Van Winkle from the very famous Pappy Van Winkle line. And if anybody's listening that's a bigger bourbon nerd than me, I know it's not technically Pappy. It has to be a 15-year to be called Pappy. And that's why I called it the old Rip Van Winkle, but it's made by Pappy Van Winkle. Yeah. And it's comes out of the Buffalo Trace Distillery. This bottle sells on the secondary market between $600 and $1,000, but it should cost $100 max. Yeah, maybe $59.99 is actually the MSRP.
Really?
And that's how much of a markup. Bourbon's booming.
Bourbon is a good drink.
Booming. It's booming right now. It's actually gotten. So I watched a documentary on Hulu called Neat. Okay. And it's shout out to that documentary. It's very well made, and the bourbon, apparently these people that make this delicious bourbon thought about getting out of the business in the 70s, 80s, 90s because no one was buying bourbon. Everyone was drinking gin and rum and vodka apparently, and a lot of Japanese people were drinking bourbon at the time. But it's booming now. It's came back. It's came back with a vengeance. You can't get. I always get to hear about the glory days from my boss. My boss will be like, man, I remember when I could go in, I could buy a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle off the shelf for $100 or $80 any liquor store I wanted to. And now, you have to get in it for the bottle that I'm holding right now. The 10-year-old Rip Van Winkle. You have to get in Greenville. You have to get in a lottery to buy it. You don't win the lottery and get the bottle. You win the lottery to purchase.
So you have to pay in order to pay.
Exactly, and it's crazy town.
That is crazy town for real.
A funny story from one of the lawyers at my firm. He gamed the system. He put like 10 different entries from random names in the firm into the lottery, and it's actually his sister-in-law who's also was a lawyer at our firm, and he was like, all right, they're calling people on November whatever because the Buffalo Trace Distillery line drops in November, and he's like they're gonna be calling on this day, and he's like, if you get a call from a random number, answer it. Like I put it on your office number because you'll be in your office. Like answer it. She gets a random call and doesn't answer it because she was on the other line, and apparently she was the first person called, and they only get 2 or 3 bottles of the 23 year, and this is a $2,000-$3,000 bottle of bourbon, and he would have the opportunity to buy it for $200 or whatever, and he still holds that grudge.
He's probably a little aggravated about that.
Yeah, he was a little aggravated, but bourbon is it's something. It's become almost like special to me. It's something that I used to drink for quantity, and now I drink for quality, and it's interesting and it's kind of fun. Like you have to hunt it now. I mean, you have to. I put tons of research into what I do on grabbing these bottles, but I drink them though. I don't like it when people buy them and just sit on them. I mean, like enjoy it. In that documentary, one of the guys that works at Buffalo Trace, he talks about a time that his dad was sick, and his dad busted out a very exclusive bottle from Buffalo Trace because he worked at Buffalo Trace, and it was like something that's worth a lot of money. It was almost like an heirloom,
Okay.
And he was slowly passing away, and he was like, son, he's like, I want to drink. He's like, let's drink this tonight. And his son, who was telling the story, was like, Dad, I don't think that we should do this. Like I don't think we should drink this. Like this is, you need to hang on to this. And he said, son, when you're in good company, never, ever, ever hold on to good bourbon.
What a story that is, though.
And it was so cool.
His dad's passing away. And he's like, that's an important.
And he said they sat there, and his brother was there too, and they drank the whole bottle. And he said it was one of the most special memories.
Absolutely,
yeah. And it's not because they had a buzz and they're drinking, but it's something special. It's something that's specially made. It's American.
Yeah.
It's toxic.
Yes.
It's just, dude. I really love the brown corn drink that I drink. It's been my go-to. I drink a lot less beer now, that's for sure. But just a quick quip on what I brought over here for us to sample tonight. We've got a little Weller Antique 107,
which is freaking smooth, man.
Smooth as
that was good.
And it's essentially the poor man's version of the expensive Rip Van Winkle bottle. And
if that's the poor version, I'm good.
I know. Well, I say it's poor, but you can't find it. Typically, if you find it, the price is fine.
Mm-hmm.
The price point's on it's fine. It's just so hard to find. And people go crazy on these Facebook groups that I'm on. Someone will post and be like, Poinsett Liquors has Weller Antique. Dude, they're sold out in an hour.
People get
it. I mean,
it's like they're waiting to go.
That big.
It's
crazy. And then we've got just the standard Buffalo Trace, which is my everyday drinker. Every time I see a bottle, I buy it. It's under $30. Can't beat it.
It's good. It's good.
So those are Buffalo Trace Distillery. Those are all from the same distillery.
Okay.
I brought the Elijah Craig because you got to give a shout out to Heaven Hill. Heaven Hill is my other distiller that I love. I love everything they make. So I've got some Elijah Craig barrel proof. If you know bourbon, you know it's great. It's voted every year. So the barrel proof means it comes out at they don't cut it with any water, so it comes out with whatever is in that barrel. It comes out, and some of their stuff is like 127 proof. Yeah. Talk about a diesel, diesel. It's good stuff, and they make a great bourbon called Henry McKenna. I've got that, and then I found a bottle. I didn't bring it because it's in this big, pretty decanter. It's called Old Fitzgerald. And I found one of those in the wild. And if anybody knows bourbon, that means you didn't buy it off of Craigslist. You didn't buy it off the secondary market. I had a hearing in Spartanburg, and I popped in this little mom and pop liquor store. I swear to God, I had to step over like these cats that were sleeping. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing in here? I gotta find a good bottle of bourbon in here. And I look up, and there's a bottle of Old Fitzgerald with dust on it. And I'm like, about to shit my pants. Because I'm like, no way. And of course, these people, I mean, honestly, I don't think he even knew what he had. He didn't realize, it wasn't marked up. It was exactly what it was supposed to be. I paid $139 for it. So it's a 13-year bourbon, limited release. Like, you could triple your money on the secondary market on that all day.
Yeah.
What did I do? I took it straight back to my office. I told my boss that I had it, and I'm like, I can't wait to get into it tonight. He comes in before he's about to leave, and he said, "You getting into it right now?" so very much against our firm policy, we had a pour of the Old Fitz because I mean, you just don't find that stuff. It was pure luck, and it was really cool. But yeah, bourbon is. It's if you don't like it, give it a try. And
it's definitely not like Jack Daniels or Jim Beam.
And I'll say this, like some people, I've gotten to the point when I first started drinking it, I would drink bourbon on like a big ice cube.
Yeah.
Now I almost exclusively drink it neat. And that's
neat, room temp, all that.
Neat. Just I drink it in a Toxic Man glass.
So some may not know.
And I go.
Yeah, so you have a Toxic Man bourbon glass.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It's a beauty. It's on my liquor cabinet.
He got that when he got his Toxic Man shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
No, for real though.
Which is soft and fits nice. And also, I love wearing it to the gym because, like, you're not going to get a pussy workout in if you're wearing a shirt. This is the Toxic Man.
Yeah, you're held to a higher standard.
And I've gotten a lot of compliments on the shirt. Did I tell you about the lady that said something to me in the elevator about it?
You did,
but
the door was closing?
The door was leaving. Yeah, I know. I would have picked her brain. I'm still fascinated. And it wasn't a facetious remark. Like, you could tell it was genuine. She was like, "Hey, I really like your shirt. I think that's a cool shirt." And I was like, and I'm like yelling at her, I'm like, "Follow on Instagram."
And the door's shut.
Shut on me. But yeah, so I got into the bourbon game, and I've flipped and sold some bottles, and I've building up my collection, and the Dos Equis man sits behind it and watches it. But
you couldn't ask for better company with the Dos Equis man right there.
No, I call him my bartender. When I'm entertaining, it's I'll send you a picture if you so you can.
Yes, yeah. Do send me a picture. I'll put it up because I'm gonna tag you when I put this up and everything. I'm gonna tag you in it.
That'd be perfect.
So yeah, y'all give JP a follow.
It's JP Ferguson III or JP. Well, you'll see
at JP Ferguson III.
But yeah, dude. Well, thanks for letting me.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you.
Talk to your peeps and keep it toxic out there, ladies and gents.
Absolutely. And I just want to give a shout out also to Dip Branding. That's the people who do a lot of our branding for our shirts and for our cigar cutters and pretty much everything we have. Generally, if it's a steel item like a cup or a tumbler, I've hand branded that actually in the house or in the garage. But I just want to give a shout out to Dip Branding, and let me give you their website. It's dip123.com. But if you ever need anything for promotional stuff because you have your own business, you want to get specialty stuff made, give them a holler. Danny is awesome to work for. I really like him. I got to know him over the last 9 or so months since we've started this this journey in promoting a traditional masculinity here. Also, the music is going to be, and the sound effects are by one of my buddies, Shane. He doesn't have a studio. He has a studio, but he doesn't have the Facebook set up yet, which I was busting his balls about earlier, telling me he need to do that because I can't properly shout him out if he doesn't have that set up. But anyway, yeah, JP, appreciate you showing up, man. This was awesome. Had a lot of fun. Talked about some very toxic things. A lot of fun. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Enjoyed it. And hey, if you have any questions you want us to talk about certain topics, please email us at thetoxicman.19@gmail.com. Our website's www.thetoxicman.net. We're on Instagram at thetoxicman_, and Facebook is The Toxic Man. You'll see our logo in the avatar section.
Get a shirt. They're sick.
Yeah, we're also going to be if you're in the local area around Greenville, South Carolina, tomorrow we are going to be at the Revel over on Stone Avenue, the old handlebar, at the Bourbon and Bacon event, actually. We're going to have a set-up table. Please come out there. We'd love to meet you, shake your hand, give you some complimentary stuff, and just get to kind of know you on a more personal level. But yeah, if you have anything you want us to talk about in general too, please send us a message, email us, and we'll start trying to put some stuff together like that. I promise you, I know I keep saying this, but I'm going to prove it tomorrow at the Bourbon and Bacon. Drew, my business partner, is a real person. Believe it or not, he is a real person. I promise you he is. We'll do a video for Instagram and Facebook tomorrow as we're setting up our table, maybe periodically throughout the event as well. But appreciate your time, JP, and we will holler at y'all later. Y'all take care and stay toxic.